Some horror stories begin with screams. This one begins with objects. Things you've touched. Things you've ignored. Things sitting quietly around you right now. Because the most disturbing events never start with something big. They start with something so small you don't think to be afraid. Tonight, this isn't a story about monsters. It's about ordinary objects that should have meant nothing until they didn't. Humans are trained to fear the obvious. Darkness. Shadows. Sounds in the night. We've evolved to see danger in the unknown, and the things that lurk just beyond our sight. We feel a jolt of adrenaline when a floorboard creaks upstairs, or a silhouette moves in our peripheral vision. Our survival instincts kick in, telling us to be alert, to be cuckoos. We're hardwired to look for the tiger in the tall grass, the predator hiding in the dark. But we trust small objects. A phone, a mirror, a toy, a clock. They're familiar. They're part of our daily lives, so integrated into our routines that we barely give them a second thought. They don't look dangerous, and that's exactly why we never notice when something begins using them. It's a loophole in our fear response. We see the phone on the nightstand and think of communication, of connection to the world. We see the mirror on the wall and think of our own image, a simple reflection. These things are extensions of ourselves, tools that we control. So when they start to behave strangely, our first instinct isn't fear. It's confusion. We dismiss Italiano. We rationalize it. We tell ourselves it's a glitch, a trick of the light, our imagination running wild. We don't consider the possibility that these mundane, harmless objects could be a gateway for something else. We trust their familiarity, and that trust is precisely what makes us vulnerable. We never see the threat until it's already seeped into our reality, using the very things we take for granted as its disguise. It starts with missed calls. No number, no voicemail, just silence. You glance at your phone and see the notification. A call you didn't hear. You shrugged it off. A bad signal, maybe, but it happens again and again. Always when you're busy, always when you're distracted. Then the phone rings again, but this time it only rings when you're alone. The house is quiet. The world outside is still, and the sudden, sharp sound cuts through the silence. You pick it up. You say, "Hello, nothing. Just an open line." Dead air. People who've experienced this report the same unsettling detail. The call never connects, but it doesn't disconnect either. It just stays open, as if someone is on the other end, listening, waiting for you to say something first. To break the silence, to invite them in, some people do, out of frustration or curiosity. They speak into the void. They ask, "Who's there?" And afterward, they begin receiving messages not from strangers, but from themselves. Messages they don't remember sending, texts that appear in their own sent folder. At first, they're harmless. A random word, a string of emojis, but then they become more specific. Messages that describe things they haven't done yet. Just left the grocery store. You look down at your phone, confused, because you're still standing in the checkout line. Had a strange dream last night. You read the text, but you haven't even gone to sleep. The phone, your personal device, your connection to everyone you know, has become a narrator of your life. One step ahead of you. It knows where you're going. It knows what you're thinking, and you have no idea who is actually typing. Mirrors don't create reflections. They delay them. It's a scientific fact, of course. The time it takes for light to travel from you to the mirror and back to your eye is technically not instantaneous. It's a delay so infinitesimally small that it's completely imperceptible. But what if it wasn't? People who've seen it notice it slowly. A blink that feels late. You blink, and for a fraction of a second, your reflection's eyes are still open before they close. A smile that doesn't arrive immediately. You grin at your own image, but the reflection just stares back with a neutral expression for a beat too long before its lips finally curve upwards to match yours. At first, they blame exhaustion. Eye strain, a trick of the light. They splash water on their face. They rub their eyes. They tell themselves they were who's tired. But then it happens again and again. The delay gets a little longer each time. The reflection holds eye contact for just a second too long before it looks away with you. It starts to move just slightly out of sync. A puppet on a string with a noticeable lag. It's subtle enough that you question your own sanity. And the worst part, the thing that makes it truly terrifying's that it never does anything wrong. It never does anything you don't do. It won't suddenly grin while you're frowning. It won't wave when your hands are still. It does everything exactly the way it should, just not at the same time. It's your perfect copy, trapped in a temporal echo. Always a moment behind, and you're left to wonder what is happening in that tiny space of time, in that delay between your action and its reaction. What is it thinking in that split second before it decides to copy you? You're looking at yourself, but you're not sure who is looking back. Our third object is the toy. Toys are designed for comfort, especially for children, but across countless homes, parents report the same unsettling issue. A toy that activates without batteries. This isn't about a glitched voice box repeating the same phrases over and over. This is different. The toy responds, not loudly, but quietly, almost as if it doesn't want anyone else to hear. Children, in their innocence, don't find this strange at all. They'll have full conversations with it, sharing secrets, telling it their dreams. The real chill comes later, when the adults are the only ones in the room. The toy starts talking again. It answers questions. Questions no one asked out loud. Questions you were only thinking. Suddenly, that cute plush companion in the corner of the room feels less like a friend and more like a listener. A silent confidant that knows more than it should. It's no longer just a toy. It's an audience. Now, let's talk about the clock. Time is supposed to be constant, relentless, but sometimes it isn't. People notice it, a specific moment, the same minute, the same second, appearing again and again. For you, maybe it's 3:14 a.m. For someone else, it's 11:42 p.m. The clock isn't frozen. It returns to that moment. It ticks forward, and then it's back. And during that repeated second, something always feels wrong. The air gets heavy, like you're underwater. Sounds become dull and distant. Your own thoughts seem to slow down, struggling to form. It's a brief, suffocating pause, in reality. Then, just as suddenly, the clock moves on, ticking forward as if nothing happened. When you check against another clock, no time is actually missing from the day. But people are... Someone who was there a moment ago is gone, and no one else seems to remember they were ever there at all. Only you do, and you can't shake the feeling that the clock didn't just stall, it took something with it. So, what connects a whispering toy and a time-stealing clock? What is the common thread? Most people jump to the same conclusions. They must be cursed or haunted. But that's the mistake. These objects aren't special. They aren't imbued with ancient evil or possessed by a restless spirit. The truth is far more mundane and far more terrifying. They're simply available. They sit in our homes, in our lives, nestled between us and the world. And when something out there needs to observe, to listen, to learn about us, what better way than through the things we never suspect? Small, inanimate objects are perfect. They are part of the scenery. We place them, we dust them, but we never truly watch them. We trust them to be exactly what they are, and that trust is their greatest camouflage. This brings us to the final, chilling realization. People always ask, why these small, insignificant objects? Why not something grand or imposing? The answer is brutally simple. We don't question them. A new toy, a grandfather clock, a simple mirror, they are welcomed into our lives without a second thought. We don't fear them. They are familiar, comfortable. We don't notice when they begin noticing us back. The change is so gradual, so subtle, that by the time you feel that first prickle of wrongness, it's already too late. The object is no longer just an object. It's a familiar presence. And familiarity is the hardest thing for the human mind to let go of. Even when that familiarity starts to feel like a threat, it's already part of your world, And that's exactly where it wants to be. Look around you right now, not for something obviously strange or out of place. Look for something ordinary. Something small, something you trust completely without ever thinking about it. A gift from a loved one, an old trinket on your desk, that clock on the wall. If this story made your skin crawl, if it made you feel a little unsettled, that's not a coincidence. It's recognition. If you stayed with me until the very end, comment "I noticed" below. It's a sign that you're paying attention. Subscribe for more stories about the things we so easily ignore, the things hiding in plain sight. And tonight, when something small in your room feels off, don't ask what it wants. It's already close enough.